With both sides locked in a brutal stalemate, it became clear this wasn't going to be a war about flashy victories and massive land grabs. Nope, it was about who could bleed the slowest. The Allies had numbers, thanks to their overseas empires, and the British kicked off a naval blockade to starve Germany of vital supplies like food. Neither side wanted a long, miserable war, but here we were. So they each tried to break the deadlock. Step 1. New fronts. When war erupted, Australia wasted no time in snatching up German New Guinea. The Allies also pounced on Germany's African colonies. In German East Africa, both sides recruited, or more often, forced local African populations into the war effort. Many died not in battle, but from exhaustion, disease, and starvation. A tragic, often forgotten chapter. Meanwhile, fresh faces joined the war. Japan and Italy hopped aboard Team Allied powers. Japan, eager to build an empire of its own, quickly grabbed Germany's islands in the Pacific. Italy, though, was a bit more complicated. It had actually been allies with Germany and Austria-Hungary before the war. But after some arguments and a tempting offer from the Allies, "We'll give you Austrian stuff," Italy switched sides. They opened a front in the Alps, and promptly got stuck in the same kind of icy, mountainous stalemate. The Central Powers recruited a new buddy too, the crumbling Ottoman Empire. Internally divided and exhausted from the Balkan Wars, they weren't eager to fight again. But a few Ottoman leaders decided to accidentally shell Russian ports, and then came back like, "Oops, guess we're at war now." Britain was not thrilled. Why? Because oil. The Middle East had lots of it, and Britain wanted it. The Ottomans tried invading Russia through the Caucasus Mountains, but their troops weren't ready for winter. Thousands froze to death. Then they tried marching through the desert to capture the Suez Canal from Britain. That failed too. The Allies countered with a massive amphibious invasion at Gallipoli, which turned into a months-long trench warfare disaster that also failed. The Ottomans, in response to all these losses, scapegoated ethnic Armenians living within their borders, leading to the Armenian Genocide, in which over 5 million people were killed. Germany, meanwhile, tried a different approach. They sent spies to Afghanistan to spark a jihad against Britain and its colony, India. The plan fizzled mostly because the spies got bored, made moonshine, and started drinking. Not ideal behavior in conservative Afghanistan. All these new front lines barely changed the map. Germany, low on manpower and supplies, decided to go full supervillain. A pre-war conference had set rules. No chemical weapons, don't bomb civilians, don't be jerks. Germany met up and said, "Let's be jerks." Zeppelin raids hit British cities. Chlorine gas poured into Allied trenches, and submarines' U-boats started torpedoing civilian ships. One of those was the Lusitania, carrying 159 Americans. Not a good PR move. To be fair, the Allies also started using chemical weapons and secretly armed their own civilian ships. So, not entirely innocent. Meanwhile, Austria-Hungary still hadn't dealt with Serbia. Enter Bulgaria. Still salty from losing the Second Balkan War, Bulgaria was promised its dream empire if it joined the Central Powers. So it did. Together, they crushed Serbia. Serbian troops fled through Albania, which was neutral, so Austria-Hungary said, "We'll just follow you there in a friendly invasion." The Serbians escaped by sea. By 1916, the war was still dragging. Germany added another name to its enemy list: Portugal, who'd been suspiciously cozy with the Allies. Also that year, the only major naval clash of the war, the Battle of Jutland. Both sides had shiny new battleships called dreadnoughts, but they were expensive, so nobody really wanted to use them. When they finally fought, both sides got banged up and said, "Yeah, let's never do that again." Back on land, Britain began drafting soldiers. Just in time too, because the war on the Western Front was about to hit max pain. Germany launched a massive assault on Verdun. France held on desperately. Hundreds of thousands died. France begged Britain to attack elsewhere and draw off the pressure. Britain answered with the Battle of the Somme, where they lost 60 men on the first day. Brutal. But they did unveil one weird new invention: the tank. In the east, Russia kept getting pushed back. But to help France, they launched the Brusilov offensive, wildly successful at first, but they ran out of supplies and lost momentum. Seeing Russia doing okay, Romania decided to join the war and instantly got steamrolled. Meanwhile, Greece was arguing with itself. The king favored the Central Powers. The prime minister supported the Allies. This led to a national schism, where Greece literally split in two. Eventually, the king abdicated, the country reunited, and they joined the Allies. In the Middle East, Russia pushed into Ottoman lands. Britain landed troops in Mesopotamia to guard oil fields, then tried to take Baghdad. But their army got surrounded and surrendered at Kut. Oof. So they launched a new offensive from the South. Classic desert warfare. Camels and all, aided by a British officer named T.E. Lawrence, aka Lawrence of Arabia. He united Arab tribes in a revolt and sabotaged Ottoman supply lines. By 1917, everyone was done. French soldiers mutinied. German civilians were starving. Russia was collapsing. The question wasn't who would win it, was who would break first. Answer: Russia. Food shortages, war exhaustion, and oh yeah, a crazy monk named Rasputin influencing the royal family sparked massive protests in Petrograd. Strikes turned into a revolution. The Tsar was overthrown. Then the new government was overthrown by the Bolsheviks. Russia pulled out of the war. Germany finally had one front to deal with. But, America was getting restless. The US had been making bank selling weapons to the Allies. They were rich, well-fed, and fresh. Not what Germany wanted. In desperation, Germany sent the Zimmermann telegram to Mexico suggesting, "Hey, wanna invade America?" The British intercepted it and handed it to the US. That was the final straw. America joined the war. Germany's only shot was to win before American troops flooded in. So they launched one last giant offensive. It worked for a while. They pushed hard on the Somme, then again in the north, then again. But the Allies adapted and held the line. On the fifth attack, the Allies pushed back. With US troops arriving in force, the momentum flipped. One by one, the Central Powers collapsed. Bulgaria fell, then the Ottomans, then Austria, Hungary, and finally, on November 11, 1918, at 11 a.m., Germany surrendered. At the Treaty of Versailles, Germany was forced to shrink its military, admit guilt, and pay for the whole mess. After 4 years of unimaginable suffering and millions dead, the world swore it had learned its lesson, which lasted about 20 years.